Hello everyone, this is the Retro Guy. Today I'm going to show you the SCSI2SD replacement for SCSI drives. As you know, SCSI drives are not easy to find, and even if you do find one with a good price, chances are it's not going to be very reliable, probably going to be very noisy, and well, SCSI2SD is the way to go. It's not too expensive nowadays. It's barely the same price as an equivalent size SCSI hard drive. So a SCSI hard drive in good condition, you're going to find it at around, it depends the size, but let's say like a 500 meg one, you're going to find it at eBay at around like 40 to maybe 60, 70 quid. It's quite expensive. It could be even more than that. SCSI2SD adapter is going to cost you, like the best place for you to buy it, in my opinion, is Amiga Kit. They are selling it for a very decent price, way cheaper than the ones that you find at eBay, for example, or other places. So take a look and eventually buy from them. I'm not gaining anything by indicating. It's just that I've got a lot of good experiences with those guys. So I have here a brand new project. I have a Macintosh 6100 that I'm going to work on for a while. This one I bought at eBay for £30, so very cheap. It was in not so good condition. I mean, like, it was very dirty and such, but overall it looked, by the pictures, fairly good. But one thing that actually caught my attention was that looking at the back picture, I saw that it had probably a DOS card inside. So I took a chance and I bought it. It was a DOS card, so I really hit the jackpot here. So it was a 6100/66 with a DOS card inside, unfortunately without a cable. So the DOS card without a cable is fairly useless, but luckily I was able to find and secure a cable in the US at eBay. So it wasn't cheap. Those cables are really tough to find, especially on their own. Like, normally they are sold along with the cards, so you really need to get lucky to find one standalone, and I was. So that was the good news. So I bought it for, I think I paid £80 for it, including shipping. It's kind of a steep price, but again, those cables are not easy to come across. Pretty rare actually, so I'm happy with it. I cleaned everything already, so I washed the case and the internals. I removed the board, I cleaned it up, so I did the whole thing there, right? So it was really dusty and nasty inside. Now it looks very good. I didn't recap anything, so I have another one that is sorry about my finger here. I have another one that is running, it's running like for more than 2 years now, also with a DOS card, and never recapped it, and it's working just fine. Of course, recapping is advised, and if you do have the time and patience, yes, just by all means, just go for it. I just recap my computers when I really sense that it's time. Other than that, I don't touch it. It's a lot of work, and I don't mind, like, in the future, just open it up and doing it anyways. So I rather use it while it's working just fine. If there are problems, then yes, by all means, I will recap it and go from there. So yeah, let me show you like the machine first, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about the SD card, the SCSI2SD, and I'm going to show you the installation and everything else, which is something that some people tend to have some questions about. Okay, so here's my workbench. It's quite messy, as you can see, right? So this is the Mac. So the board is already installed, right? This is the PC card. It's already in, and all the cabling and everything else is already done. This is the original hard drive, which it is working, but I'm going to turn it on and you're going to see it's so noisy that it's almost unbearable to stay around it. It does work, but trust me, it's just a matter of time until it fails. So I'm going to replace this guy with a SCSI2SD. For now, I'm going to place it here on the CD-ROM place, but just to copy the things, I want to copy what's in here into the SD card. So luckily the 6100 supports two SCSI devices, the CD-ROM plus the hard drive, and I'm going to use the same cable here to plug in the SCSI2SD inside and copy all the files while I'm doing it. So that's one thing, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So let me show you here. This is the board. So this one I bought from Amiga Kit, right? So it's a very nice board, as you can see. Like the guys who came with this idea they did a great job. So you have here the SCSI connector that goes in the place of the hard drive. You do have an option here for additional power supply, so you have to get a converter to convert the normal connector for a hard drive into a floppy connector of sorts, right? And here goes the SD, right? So what I'm doing right now is configuring the board, because this is something that people tend to forget. They think it's plug and play, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it is. It depends how lucky you are. In my case, it isn't. And the reason is the SCSI ID is it's basically conflicting with the one that I have in my computer right now. So my hard drive is SCSI 0, SCSI ID 0, and the SCSI2SD was also SCSI ID 0. So you need to download the SCSI2SD utility and then connect the SCSI2SD to your USB, and you are able to configure it. So here I'm basically enabling changing the ID to 3, right? And I'm also setting some other things here. So for example, to make it compatible, right, I'm changing to the vendor to Seagate and the product ID to this one here. So this makes the SCSI2SD to be seen in the Macintosh as an actual Apple hard drive. You don't have to do that, by the way. It's not mandatory to do it. It should work even without doing this. But the great thing about doing this is that you can use the Apple SC hard drive setup, the original one, to actually configure the hard drive and formatted it and stuff like that. If you don't have those changes, you can also do it using third-party software, so it just works fine. Okay, so what else do you have here? You have, this is the device one settings, right? So if you go to general settings here, you have the option to enable the terminator. That goes depending on the version of the board you have, right? It will support that. And some other options here, see, that simulates SCSI hard drive. You don't really need to set any of those for it to work on a Macintosh. Termination here, it's always pre-checked, but you don't really need to change it. It should work as well without it. What else? Devices, this depends on the size of the flash drive you're going to put. So if it is too large, you have to break this down into several devices. In my case, it's a 1 gigabyte flash drive, so I don't need actually to break this down into anything. So I'm just going to use device 1 here, set to 1 gig, and that's it. Yes, 1 gig is not like that large, but that's the only card I have at the moment, and I really just want to configure this machine. So later on I can copy the files onto another flash drive and expand it if I want to. So in terms of configuration, that's all you really need to do here. So I already did that, so I need to save this configuration. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to say save to device. See? So save to device here. And it's going to dump this configuration into the card that is connected to my USB port. So it's going to retain those configurations, SCSI ID 3, so on and so forth. And after that, it's just a matter of removing the card and placing it instead of the hard drive into the Mac. So I'm going to actually use the CD-ROM space as I showed you before, right? So let me connect everything and hook everything up, and then I come back and show you this booting up and what happens. Okay, so the card is in. As you can see, it's just a matter of connecting the SCSI cable. You don't even need to connect the power, because the SCSI cable feeds power directly to the board. So it should work without connecting power. So I would test that without power. if that doesn't work, I have already an adapter connected, so I'm going to then connect to the adapter. So let's see. Powering it up. See the noise of the SCSI drive. So this is coming from this guy here. It's really ridiculous. It looks like a data center here just because of this small hard drive. So yeah, that's not good, and I don't want this. So I want something to be quiet, right? So let's see if after the boot I will see this drive being recognized by the system. Hopefully it will. And then I can just copy over the files and kill this guy here, right? Well, I'm not gonna kill it, really. I'm just going to, you know, put there in some safe place for the case that in the future I need it. So the system is booting up. So let's see how that goes. Yeah, so apparently didn't recognize the card. So I'm going to use here ADT Primer, which is a SCSI utility, to see if it sees. And yeah, it does see. That's good. So yeah, I can see here. See, like in the utility is actually telling me that something is connected to SCSI ID 3, but it's not formatted. So let's format that. So Macintosh, that's the format I want, 100%. Yeah, continue. So yeah, it's going to take a while because it's going to perform all the tasks and everything else. And if you actually go here, you can see that the LED is flashing, right? So there is activity, which is great. And yeah, it's going to take a while for this to finish because after all, it's a large drive for this old operating system. So I will wait for it to finish, not going to be filming that. As soon as it's done, I come back and show you guys how this goes, right? So apparently it's working just fine. As I said, you don't need to connect the power, see? The power here is not connected. It's only the SCSI cable. So that's one other great thing about the SCSI2SD board. It actually uses up way less energy than a regular SCSI drive, which is great for those compact Macs that doesn't have a lot of airflow inside, especially true with the DOS card that sits right on top of the CPU. Okay, so let's wait for this to finish and then I come back and show you guys something else. Okay, so the formatting is finished and I'm now copying the files from the original hard drive to the SCSI2SD one down here, as you can see, right? And it is going to take a long time, but because of the existing drive is very old and it's really about to fail. I have seen already like an error message for one of the files that was being copied, and probably others will follow. And so let's see what can I salvage from those files that are in this disk. It's nothing too important anyways, but it would be nice if I didn't have to, you know, reinstall everything and such. But even so, like, it is going to take a while. It's a lot of files. So I'm going to stop the recording for now and come back when this is over, okay? And then with the results as well. Okay guys, so it finished copy and it's booting off the SCSI2SD now, you see? So it's rebooting the desktop file, but it booted successfully, so it's a good thing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to shut it down after it finished rebuilding the desktop, and I'm going to remove this guy here. It's no longer needed. So one other advantage of removing it is that it gets way too hot as well. It's burning up here, and it is going to be good again because of the DOS card that sits here. So the DOS card is extremely hot. You can really fry an egg here. So hot. This was a design flaw on those Macintoshes here. So the problem is now you have two CPUs here, one 4086 for the DOS card and the PowerPC down, and they are actually facing one another without any vents or anything like that. So it gets extremely hot. So removing this guy here is going to provide some airflow, and it's going to maybe keep this a little bit cooler. In my 6100 that I have there, I actually did a mod where I added a fan right in this point here, so that it could basically force some air to flow in this region, because it gets so hot. So, but it works, and eventually if it gets way too hot, for example, if you're playing a game like Doom or something like that, it might shut down the Macintosh, because the CPU gets so hot that eventually, for security reasons, it shuts it down so that it doesn't burn the circuits or anything like that. So it never happened to me, but I read people saying that this could happen, right? So I'm going to wait for it to finish building the desktop file. It's about done already, and I'm going to shut it down and remove the SCSI hard drive, and then leave only the SCSI2SD. You are going to see the difference in terms of noise. So this guy here is really amazing. Like it really looks like I am in a data center of sorts. So shut it down, and there you go. So look at this. Look at the difference. This is so noisy because it is old, and the plates probably are touching or something like that, and there is nothing you can do about it. There is no way to lubricate, for example, or something like that. So this eventually is trash. It is already causing reading errors, and I'm not going to use it. It's not reliable at all. So this is a hard drive that is going to be trashed, unfortunately. So I'm going to prepare everything here, and after it's done, I'm going to film it again so you guys get to see everything already in place before I close the case up. So this is the finished product. So it's booting up off the SD card. As you can see, look at the silence here. Really, it's an amazing difference. And yeah, just I added another CD-ROM here. I changed it. So this is a brand new SCSI CD-ROM, much better than the original one. And yeah, so everything now in this machine is working just fine. So what I'm going to do now is configure the PC card. Still have to install the DOS on it, and that's it. So as you can see, it's booted up perfectly. So this is just like a message about the PC card extension. So let's see the space that we have on the disk. Beautiful. So 1 GB, and pretty much everything is in here. So some files didn't copy because of disk errors, which is fine. I'm going to start up the PC now, the PC extension, to basically configure or create the hard drive, right? So right now there is none. So I'm going here to create a new drive file. I'm going to allocate, I don't know, maybe 200 megs for it. Should be enough. And create. So it should create fairly quickly, but again, I'm not going to keep filming this while it is creating. And as soon as it finishes, I'm going to install DOS, and when everything is installed and ready to go, I come back here. Okay, I'm back. So now with everything installed, right? So I'm going to trigger now. Windows is already running, so let me actually stop it. Not Windows, sorry, DOS. So let's shut down the PC. So it's going to terminate the board, the PC board, the DOS card. And now to power it on, you have the option to either start it from the control panel here, start PC, or just using the hotkeys. So it's Command Enter, and then it starts the PC as well. So I don't have with just one hand here. It's a little bit tough, but let me see if I can with my elbow. Okay, Command Enter. There you have it. So PC starts. So it checks the memory just like a regular PC would do, right? And now it's booting up. So I have installed MS-DOS 6.22, and I have also installed Windows 3.11, right? So DOS is running at start, just like in the good old days. Then typing Windows, just Win, and Enter, starts up Windows 3.11. It should be fairly fast. Yeah, there you go. And there you go. So Windows running on a Mac natively, right? So this is not emulation. The card actually behaves as a self-contained PC. It has a 486 processor, it has memory, it has everything it needs to operate. And the images quality is really good, and the response is also very good. So it's great for gaming and stuff like that. So it runs Doom, for example, and such. I don't have it installed here in this machine. I have in my other one. But yeah, it works fine. Like, believe me, it just runs. So let's exit Windows here. It's very flickery. So back to DOS, and from there again you use the hotkey to go back to the Mac, right? So Command Enter brings you back to the Mac, and then from the Mac you can shut down the PC. So that's how you do it, and that's it. It's now off. So that's it, guys. It was a very fortunate finding at eBay. So to find this Mac here with the card inside, the DOS card was installed, and luckily nobody realized that. So 30 quid for functional 6100 is already good enough, and not to mention with the DOS card. So yeah, that was a very nice finding. Yeah, that's it for now, guys. So this guy here, I'm considering it done. It's restored now. I'm not going to retrobrite or anything like that, even though it's quite yellowed here in the CD-ROM area. If you compare with my other one there, which is much better condition, right? So this one here is a little bit beaten up in terms of the color, but it is very clean now. I washed everything, so it's really nice. And yeah, that's it. So I'm finishing up here. So yeah, very happy with the results. So stay tuned for more, and let's see what else is coming. Cheers, guys.